Hello and welcome back to another video of Formula One chat. No, welcome back to Assetto Corsa. So after 8 months, it's time to get back to sim racing, and what better way to celebrate this return than with sim racing, of course. However, to mix up the content a little, I brought in something different, Assetto Corsa, which is also fairly new to me. I haven't really played it, though I have the game for many years now. Plus, this would be a nice little change after all the F1 Challenge content. And we already have two championships set up, F1 2004 and F1 2010. We're going to go with 2010 for this series. And there's a little mess in the settings, so qualifying and practice lengths should be the other way around. But I recorded the intro after the first race, so I didn't want to go back and change it because that would have reset the entire championship. So we will go through the entire 2010 calendar, all 90 races on 100% race length. Bahrain will be a little different because I couldn't find an actual 2010 layout, so we'll be using the more modern version of it. And I'll be driving for a Williams alongside Rubens Barrichello. And we have the entire 2010 grid, at least the way it started the season. I used the drivers that raised the most for teams that changed drivers mid-season. And this is the way it's going to look like for the remainder of this series. So yeah, I'm really excited, really looking forward to this. So without further ado, I think it's time to head over to the qualifying session and see where we will end up on the grid for our first race. Let's go. So this is gonna be a little interesting as I never really driven a Formula One car for Assetto Corsa. As you can see, I already managed to outbrake myself right on the first corner. So it will need a lot of getting used to how the car works and how exactly I can keep it on the track. Plus, I'm having a brutal force feedback, and one of the virgins already causing me a lot of trouble on my flying lap. And I can see a couple of cars ahead, so that smells like trouble. That mainly based on my Formula One Challenge experience with back markers or whoever is in your way when you're trying to do a flying lap. They don't really like to get out of the way. Hopefully the AI is gonna be slightly different in this, but let's just be careful. And as for the AI, for now, it's put on 95% difficulty with a variation of 5%, and I make contact with the Mercedes, get a little damage. I was hoping he was going to get out of the way, and is actually trying to fight me back. What the hell, man? I'm trying to do a flying lap here. Leave me alone. And that's a 1:38.3, and don't believe what's written there. Vettel is actually not 19 seconds off of me. That's just because he's still not on his flying lap, or at least hasn't finished his flying lap. And I'm just going to try another one, preferably without anyone blocking me or making contact with anyone that's around. So it would be nice if I could stay away from that car you can see up there in the front. Yeah, so this definitely requires a bit of getting used to. So what I noticed compared to F1 Challenge here is, even though the front and the rear wing don't get damaged as easily as it does in F1 Challenge, the engine and the brakes get a lot more punishment if you outbrake yourself or just over revving the engine. So yeah, I'll have to do a bit of brake and engine management. Try to go past the Mercedes. This time it works out perfectly without any contact. And he's coming back again. Looks like the Mercedes actually has a better straight line speed than my Williams, which is of no surprise, of course. This is not a championship winning car. Here you can see the final results, so let's head over to the race. Vettel second, Alonso third, Button, Alguersuari, Kovalainen, Hamilton, Barrichello, Sutil, Heidfeld, and Trulli the first 11, and I mess up the start quite heavily, and Vettel is getting the lead while I'm being harassed by Alonso, and probably Button was the other one, but I didn't see that car. And after the first corner, I comfortably take back the second position, and Button seems to be much faster in a straight line. It's still pretty close. And Vettel is just up the road. So the main goal for the first bit of this race is to get the lead back. It looks like that in this section I'm actually faster than him, and I could break away from Alonso and Button. Again, a bit of a mistake, exiting the hairpin, allowing Vettel to go ahead, and someone was trying to overtake me on the straight. I didn't see the car, but I still believe that was either Alonso or Button. No one else should be really around. And it looks like after the hairpin and that long straight, I can be faster than Vettel. Generally, by the looks of it, it feels like I'm faster than him in the corners, and I have no idea what Button is doing. That was scary. I thought he's going to take me out with all that waving. But thankfully that didn't happen, and another mistake. There's just way too many of them, and it went like this all the way to lap 3, where I managed to overtake Vettel by taking a lot of risk and also getting some damage to my rear wing. And now we start lap 4 in the lead, just as I start to break off of Vettel, who probably has some front wing damage. Well, that wasn't the most responsible move ever, what I did there, but I've just had enough of watching his back for the past 3 laps, and it looks like it was actually worth the risk, and I managed to make the move stick. And now we're in the lead. Outbraking myself a little, looking up the front right. And you can see the arrow. That means Vettel is back in the action, and he just overtook me on the straight. However, he takes a longer braking distance while I put some strain on the front left to outbrake him into the corner, and it's back to the lead again. So hopefully I can start braking away from Vettel and then just stay ahead. It looks like I started to break away, so hopefully it's going to stay like that and I can keep this lead for the rest of the race. And on lap 10 you can see I think that was one of the Red Bulls on the track side with the yellow flags. So that's a Red Bull or a Toro Rosso. I'm pretty sure that was a Red Bull out of the race. And there's another yellow flag for whatever reason, so I'm not sure why we have this yellow flag. Oh, there you are. That's another car out of the race. I didn't see who that was. From the looks of it, that could have been one of the Lotus cars. And that's Rosberg out of the race. So that might have been actually one of the Mercedes. And we're still in the lead. And on lap 12, we have a little bit of trouble ahead, overtaking one of the back markers. He actually let me pass, which is really nice of him. Didn't try to fight me back. And Lewis Hamilton is out of the race. Well, not a good day for McLaren. And I don't see Button in the top 10 either. And at some point he was 3rd or 4th. And he just disappeared. And this is the point at the end of lap 15 when I realized that I horribly miscalculated the fuel usage by a good 10 laps, that is. So it's time to head into the pits, pick up some fresh fuel. And here we are. That's a pretty nice pit stop. Well, not really. I've never been good at this. So now we're back into the action. You can see a couple of cars. That's a McLaren, a Red Bull, and both Mercedes actually out of the race. And that's one of the Lotus cars. So already quite a bit of attrition at the beginning of lap 16. Outbraking myself twice, locking up both front wheels. And on lap 20 we have a bit of trouble ahead. So I lost 2 positions while I was in the pits, so I'm down to P3, and you can see Vettel and Alonso right in front of me. Alonso is currently leading the race, and it looks like Vettel is going to fight for that 2nd place. Trying to outbrake him here, which works out just perfectly, so we can go after Alonso. I can cut quite a bit of the distance between us here, but he definitely got the better exit. However, it's not good enough, so he can't really pull away, and I don't have any space to go for a dive on any side for now. So we're trying to catch him here in this long straight. That works out. Whoa! What the fuck? He almost drove into me. Fucking madman. And we have a back marker right in front. I think that's one of the Saubers. Not sure how they ended up. Oh, that was an early break. Hopefully Alonso is going to get stuck behind him, so I can open up a gap between the two of us. And that's another back marker there in the front. So let's just hope for the best that both Alonso and Vettel are going to stuck behind these guys, so I can comfortably open the gap and just get enough time between us for another pit stop, because now that I miscalculated the fuel usage, the entire pit strategy can go to the bin, and it's gonna be a complete mess. So I was counting for 2 stops, and most likely we're going to have to do 3. So I need all the time I can get between Alonso and myself. And as lap 22 starts, I'm back in the lead. Alonso 2nd, Vettel 3rd. And on lap 23, We have a good bunch of back markers and some nice fighting going on between the Renault and that's one of the Toro Rossos. Can't really be anyone else because Vettel is still in P3 and Webber is out of the race. Now the Renault can break away on the long straight. And he lets me pass. Meanwhile the Renault just closes the door. Which is sort of understandable because they are fighting for positions, so I'm just an extra disturbance here for the both of them. And that's it. Yeah, they are not trying to fight back. They keep each other busy, so I can just keep going. And I already have almost 8 seconds to Alonso, which is pretty neat. And on lap 26 we have some more back markers. It's a Toro Rosso and I'm not entirely sure what that is in the front. But he doesn't really seem to be willing to let me pass. So I might have to actually fight for an overtake on back markers. No, that's not a Toro Rosso. Oh, that's a Toro Rosso and the Virgin. What the hell is a Virgin doing fighting a Toro Rosso? Those guys should be in the back. There's a third car, as you can see on the inside. And that's an achievement in the meantime for me. Making contact with the Virgin because he just decides to smash into me. It's a really nice move, mate. And that's a very slow Force India. Probably carrying some damage or some sort of issue. And I just can't believe this. This guy is legit fighting me back while I'm trying to lap him. Unbelievable. So he should be blue flagged into oblivion by now. However, I turned the penalties off because if you know Assetto Corsa, you know the penalty system is pretty ridiculous. And you get a penalty for going 1 millimeter off the track. So I decided to turn those off, which seems to have an effect on back markers who actually keep fighting back. But I'm faster in the straight line. I have to slow down. And that's the third time I think he drives into me. What is this guy doing? And now he's just waving. Oh my god. Unbelievable. What an asshat. Right, so now let's try and overtake the Toro Rosso, which is probably gonna be as hard as it was with the Virgin. Oh, okay. Now, he still decides to hit me from the side. And on lap 30, we have another back marker. This is getting ridiculous. And I decide to come into the pit stop because we're running out of fuel again. What a surprise. And only after this I managed to figure out that I can actually switch between the two different pit strategies that I've set up. So yeah, I thought it's entirely screwed, but not really. So I have another strategy set up with more fuel, but still I will have to come to the pits once more because the current amount of fuel I'm carrying is just not gonna be enough to finish the race. And that's one of the Toro Rossos on the track side, as you can see right here. It actually left him there for quite a long time, causing a yellow flag into the first corner. And that's lap 33, still in the lead, and I believe by now I have a lap over Alonso as well, and that's a Ferrari joining the Toro Rosso on the track side. So that's one of the Ferraris out of the race, and that's most definitely Felipe Massa. And now we have a Force India to overtake, which goes relatively well, except for this little mistake here, which actually allows him to take the position back and unlap himself. Just amazing. And in a straight line, he's actually much faster than I am. Bit of contact, side pod. Nothing major this time. It's likely he didn't have any damage from this. And at this point I just need to be really careful not to hit any of these guys because they are fighting hard. Not breaking myself to get the overtake done, which still doesn't work out. However, I get the better exit of the last corner. Now I might be able to... no. Or maybe? Yes. I make it stick, and now he backs off because he doesn't want to cut the track. Didn't leave him any space there. For good measure. And... oh, he's not trying to fight me back anymore. And on lap 40, pretty much the same as before. That's one of the Toro Rosso. And look how nice he is. Just letting me pass, doesn't try to fight me back, doesn't drive into me. I wish all the others were like that. That was a little bit too eager to get a good exit in this corner to overtake those back markers up the road. Didn't really work out, went a little wide, and what the... whoa! There's an accident on the straight, right in the middle of it. Amazing. And on the end of lap 45, I'm coming in to do my very last pit stop. And here we are, changing tires, getting some extra fuel, and we're ready to go. So that's a Ferrari out of the race, both McLarens, a Toro Rosso, both Mercedes, actually that's both Toro Rossos out of the race, or maybe a Red Bull and the Toro Rosso, and the Lotus. So quite a bit of attrition for this first race. And that looks like a quiet re-entry. No outbraking, no one's around. Oh! I wasn't expecting that. So that was one of the Ferraris. So Alonso either overtook me just now, so I'm down to P2, or he just unlapped himself. I will have to wait and see until the end of this lap for the standings to be updated. Now, one of the shortcomings of this game, that the standings that you can see at the bottom of the screen are not updating real time, so that happens always at the end of the lap. So whatever you see there, that's from the beginning of this lap. It looks like Alonso has a fair amount of speed, and actually this is the moment where I can feel the big difference between a car that is full on fuel and a car that is more under fuel. So right now we're almost carrying a full load of fuel, and the corners just feel very sluggish, and the way the car accelerates out of the corners is just a lot slower than it is on a lighter fuel load. And I might be able to overtake Alonso here in the first corner. Yeah, that works out just perfectly. Little lock up, but that gets the job done. And I actually didn't lose a position to him. He was trying to unlap himself. And this is the final lap starting. Again, yellow flag in the first sector. That's Sauber right next to the track. And again, we have a Force India front waiting to be lapped, but he most certainly doesn't want to be lapped, as he kept fighting me back for the last 2 laps or so. And he's on a much lighter fuel load at the moment than I am, so he has a far superior straight line speed and a better acceleration. So it's a little difficult to keep up with them. But I'm also about 2 laps ahead of everyone, so I certainly wasn't expecting that, especially after the qualifying where Vettel was 8/10 off of me in P2, and now Alonso and Vettel are both 2 laps down. So yeah, this has worked out quite well, and I would still suggest not to jump into any conclusions after this, because Bahrain is one of the tracks that I'm confident at, I'm really good at. I know this track inside out. So it's going to be much different on other tracks, and that's the end of the first race of this 2010 season on Assetto Corsa. It's a big win. It just worked out perfectly, even with the messed up pit tactics. So we are happy. We have all the reason to be. And I think I'm on good terms with the car as well by now. So I'm really looking forward to the next one, which I think it's going to be perhaps Australia. I just don't remember the calendar from the top of my head. Yeah, great job, I put it together. And here you can see the final results. Alonso second, Vettel third, Barrichello, my teammate, P4, Kubica fifth, Sutil sixth, Di Grassi seventh, Alguersuari eighth, Timo Glock with the Virgin P9, Senna P10. So that was a pretty crazy race, so I'll see you at the next video. Goodbye.